This kid's fire.
What's that? What's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, what's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, what's that? What's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, what's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother,
Yes, guys, welcome back to another episode of L Bins. Hopefully, you guys are all doing well. You guys are thirsty for the L Bins because Nobbins was ill last week, so we had to postpone. So hopefully, you guys are all good. I think did we not lose last week, so it would have been a pretty depressing show anyway. Was
No,
it last week?
No, that was Leeds, wasn't it?
Oh, that was a Leeds game. Fucking hell, they go quick these matches. I thought it was the Newcastle match.
Yeah. No, it was Leeds, and that was a chaotic week, wasn't it? It was Leeds and then Fulham a couple of days later.
Yeah. No, that is actually wild, man. It just goes so quick. This time of the year, the matches they're just rapid. Like, bro, we got another game in like 2 days, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just non-stop.
The power of Christmas.
Power of Christmas, man. Guys, smash these likes up if you've not done so already. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Subscribe to Nobbins as well for all the analysis. But how are you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, doing very good. City are doing lovely stuff in terms of results. The performance got a lot better the other day compared to the other games. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good in the football world so far. And Arsenal lost. And Liverpool drew. So it's a very good footballing weekend, all in all, for City fans.
Well, they didn't just draw. The whole club is in crisis.
Yeah, that's also hilarious, isn't it?
Salah coming out saying he's being thrown under the bus. He's now called out Carragher. Have you seen that? The latest developments, mate. It's just insane, isn't it? He's done there.
So funny.
He's done there. Right, bro. Like, I think he'll leave in January, mate.
Really? Gosh.
I think he'll go Saudi.
That's probably the only avenue for him, you'd think.
Well, no European club's going to give him 400 grand a week, are they?
Exactly, yeah.
Plus, maybe Liverpool still want a transfer fee. I don't know. He's 33 years old, so. But yeah, like he's 33. He's 34 in June. Like, realistically, what European club is going to pay a transfer fee plus 400 grand a week wages for this guy?
Yeah, no.
Exactly. I think he's going Saudi. And you know, because Slot obviously might, you know, the thing is with Slot is if you sack him now, it might be because of the results, but it will come across as, oh yeah, you sacked him because Salah didn't want him there, and you can't do that, man. You can't give a single player that power. And they are only 2 points off the top four. So top five, sorry. So it's not like they're in that they're not like the relegation zone or anything. Like, they could easily win the next 2 games and they'll probably be back in the top 4. So yeah, it's a madness. They are crumbling. We thought City were bad last year. Oh my God, this is actually wild. Have you seen that video of the Liverpool press officer, by the way?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
and it's like,
God.
It's so funny.
Chat, if you've not seen that video yet of the Liverpool press officer, it is hilarious. When Salah's giving the interview in the press mixed area, there's the Liverpool press officer is like recording it so he can put like Salah's comments on the website because he thinks Salah's going to say something good. And obviously Salah's slagging the club off and everything, and this guy's just like this. He's like, this. He's like, oh my God, he knows he's fucked. He knows. It's the Salah interview, Louise. It's the one where he's in the mixed. I think it's called a mixed press area or something like that. It's after the game, and he's obviously when Salah's going on his rant, saying like, I'm being thrown under the bus. There's a video of Salah, but in the background you can see the Liverpool press officer, and he's just melting, bro. It's so funny. Mixed zone. Yeah. Honestly, it's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, enough of that dead club. We are speaking about Manchester City, and things are going well. We're gonna have a bit of a recap about the match on Saturday, and sort of like just more generally what's been going on. Because obviously I've not spoken to Nobbins over a week, so I want to sort of like recap on the football inside, and then halfway through we'll turn our attention to the January transfer market. Obviously, City have been linked quite heavily, really, with that Semenyo. We've been linked with Anderson. I know Anderson's probably not going to happen in January. I don't think it will. But I want to get Nobbins' takes on that. And could that help City sort of like push over and get and win the league? Could it be the difference? So, but yeah, mate, we got a win against Sunderland. Big 3 points. You know what I mean? Sunderland have been playing really good football. I watched them against Arsenal at home when they drew 1-1, I think it was, or 2-2, can't remember now. I watched the Liverpool game as well. I thought they were really, I know Liverpool are not great right now, but they were really impressive there. And of course, I think they were like 6th going into the game with City. So, when we played 14 matches by that point, so you have to start looking at that and saying, this is going to be a tough game, but we made light work of it. And I don't even think we played like the best football of the season, really. I thought at times it was it was controlled and stuff, but I think at times it was a little slow, but we completely dominated the game from start to finish. And we made light work of it, really, didn't we?
Yeah, they also beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and they took points off Aston Villa as well. So they've been serious this season, as you say. I think that what we've also seen is that every single time they played a Big Six side in the second half, they've upped their pressing intensity. That's what the data tells us. Outside of the City game, that's the only occasion where they haven't done that. And I was wondering whether that was because of the fatigue from the Anfield game, because they played like a day after us. But someone also pointed out that they had a number of players who were booking away from a suspension, Xhaka, for example, and they play Newcastle up next. So it's their biggest game of the season up next. So maybe that's why able to come out as aggressive as they may have wanted to in that second half. And of course, we handled it very well, but that also made it very easy for us to a degree. We didn't have to worry about them engaging us that high outside of like a maybe 5-minute period. They didn't really ask us that many questions. We were in a far more controlled position than usual. Also, I think that Cherki being on the pitch really helped out with that as well. He's sort of like Foden in that he's able to slow down play and be a tempo setter and just calm it down in that period of madness where Donnarumma was forced into that really good save and then they hit the post and then Cherki like just got the ball a couple of times and he calmed it. He had the opportunity to go forwards and he did, but then it was going sideways, backwards, slowing things down. The exact opposite of what happened against Fulham, for example, where we were just like gung-ho, attack. And I was like, guys, let's reel it in a little bit, let's chill out. And I think Cherki did provide that in the same way that he provided that when he came on against Fulham also. So we played very well. I think we were quite professional in that game overall, outside of the one horrendous error. And it was a deserved win, and it was a big test given all that context. We absolutely rose to the occasion, and Cherki was obviously the man of the match. And everyone will rightly talk about his fantastic volume of chance creation. But what I was most happy about with Cherki was the level of measure and control that he provided us when we sorely needed it.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about that is as well, right? Is when you watch him play, because obviously, like, this is the thing with Cherki, yeah? Like, most people, I'm going to say most, because there will be a couple of people, most people probably didn't really know what this Cherki guy was about, when we signed him. Because let's be honest, how many people are watching Lyon on a regular basis? Yeah? Not a lot of people. And of course, at that point, when we were signing him, he'd not played for France yet. So you can't even say, well, I watched him for France LB, because he only played in the summer. So all we knew about him, is basically YouTube compilations and second-hand, information that's coming through. And when you watch it, you see a techie baller, got mad skills, got a load of flair, and then that's pretty much it. We have to then wait and learn about everything else. And typically what you get when you get these type of players is they can be very flamboyant, very flary, very techy, but sometimes they just do stupid shit because that's the type of player they are. You know what I mean? They don't have necessarily they have a footballing brain. Yeah, it's not right to say they don't have a footballing brain, but the sort of like, oh, you know what, I need to kill it here. They don't have an off button. Do you know what I mean? That hyper guy, when he went to school, there was a kid, mad hyper, like, they didn't fucking stop 100 mile an hour all the time. So that's the sort of like view that I had of him coming into the club, right? And that's natural because of the way he is. The one of the most like impressive things I've seen Cherki do, yeah, was actually against Fulham. Yeah, when he come off the bench, and I was thinking, what is Pep doing here, mate? Yeah, it's 5-4. We're about to throw away a fucking 5-1 lead here, yeah? And one of the biggest humiliating results, not in even our club's history, in fucking Premier League, 5-1 up, and you're about to draw the game. And he's throwing on Cherki. I'm thinking, what is he doing here? This is a terrible decision from Pep, yeah? And it was actually a fucking brilliant decision because Cherki went on the pitch and because he's so calm, he just kept the ball. Won free kicks. Yeah, kept the ball. You know, when everybody else on the pitch was panicking at the time, because they was all nervous, they all knew they was about to bottle it, and they was all giving the ball away, doing stupid stuff, running into players, kicking the ball away, lack of control. Yeah, I saw a bit of your match reaction, and you said in that the sort of like decision making in the game, like it just evaporated. It just wasn't there. Cherki come on the pitch. Yeah, and he just kept the ball, and that's what he did. You're right, he did that again against Sunderland. You know what I mean? When things got a little bit sticky, he just got on the ball, kept it, kept it, pass and move, winning free kicks, and that's what you need, man. Yeah, you need that in the team because otherwise you do lose control of the match, and that's kind of what happened against Fulham. So, yeah, we can all talk about the flair and obviously the Rabona, which is a beautiful assist and stuff, but I've been quite surprised at just how calm he is and sort of accomplished on the ball in those situations. I didn't expect it.
Yeah, and there's an added domino effect to that as well, which is we saw it in the Fulham game that, and this isn't this against Reinders at all, but it's pretty obvious that he's not as capable so far in the same way that we've just outlined Cherki is. But it meant that against Fulham, he brought on Cherki, so it also meant that he moved Foden from the right to the centre, so now you have Foden instead of Reinders, so you've got even more composure on the ball. So if you've got them both on the pitch, it's like exponentially increasing the level of calm in those moments because we know that Foden has got that to his game based on certainly based on his performances this season also. So you have both of them on the pitch, and then you throw in Bernardo in there as well. It makes it very hard for City to lose the ball in silly areas in midfield. And you've got lots of players there who all know about there's nothing wrong with playing a backwards pass or a sideways pass. Sometimes we need to slow the game down. So yeah, there's also that domino effect. And then you also get the offensive relationship between the two of them as well. And they clearly love playing with one another. They, Cherki's assisted Foden a number of times now. That wasn't the first time, was it? He also did it in the Club World Cup. And I'm sure more of that will follow. They've already connected fantastically well for a number of offensive moves this season. So I think that this season it was a question of how quickly can City make Cherki a starter, basically, because I was very convinced that he should be a starter. It was just going to be, well, what's the best way to do that? And based on what we've seen, it looks like we have found a solution to do that. And I hope it continues, because I do really think that the ceiling of this side is one that does have Cherki in it regularly starting, because I do think he is that accomplished.
Yeah. And I've spoke about this before, but I actually thought it was correct to sort of just hold Cherki back a little bit at the start of the season. And I know he picked up the injury, which obviously forced it a little bit, but obviously Pep was, not throwing him straight into the team. I think he started the Spurs game, and I think that was pretty much it for like the first few matches. But I thought it was the right thing to do, you know what I mean? Because I think that I think it worked both ways. People are very quick to just pick a side on which way it needs to work. You know what I mean? Does Cherki need to learn the system? And that's why Pep kept him out. But I also think Pep needs to understand Cherki. You know what I mean? What's he giving me? What's he not giving me? You know what I mean? Let me understand him as a player. And I think that in those sort of like 2-3 months where Cherki wasn't fully starting games, and obviously he did have the injury at that point, I just think it allowed both of them, Pep and Cherki, just to understand, each other. You know what I mean? And Pep now knows what Cherki's about, because some players just won't do something that you want them to do. You know what I mean? Like maybe they don't track back quick enough. Maybe they drift into certain areas, and sometimes they'll just never learn it. That's just the way the way it is. So it allows Pep to understand Cherki, and Cherki now understands the system, and I think it's starting to really blossom. It kind of reminds me of slightly different but similar sort of train of thought is Aguero when we first signed him. I don't think he played like the first couple of matches for City. I remember the pre-season. I don't think he kicked a ball we signed him. I don't think he kicked a ball in pre-season. And then he didn't play the first game, I don't think. I think we played away from home or something. And then I think he come off the bench in that Swansea game, didn't he? Which I think was the second game.
Bench, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I think Pep's handled him very, very well. And that assist, man. I mean, he got robbed of a few assists on Saturday. He should have had 3. But he was really starting to come into his own now as well. And you mentioned Foden there, and I think you're spot on. I think Foden really enjoys playing with Cherki. You know what I mean? I think you can see Foden and that Cherki relationship really start to blossom as the season goes on. And like I've said from day one, you know what I mean? I think people will try to rush it. I've seen a lot of City fans try to rush it. He signed a 5-6 year contract. Yeah, we don't need to rush it. It will happen when it happens. And it's now starting to happen. And it's only just begun. So keep your eye on this Foden-Cherki relationship. I think it's going to be absolutely exceptional for years to come, man. But yeah, very nice, mate. Very nice. A clean sheet for the Blues. I mean, we were kind of fortunate, as you mentioned before. Donnarumma had to make a huge save. Getting off his line quickly. That was nice after the Diaz mistake. And then they were pretty unlucky, actually, to hit the post, weren't they? Hit that with some venom. But nice to see us keep a clean sheet after conceding 4 in the week, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think that outside of that error, I can't remember, and then the subsequent corner, can't really recall Sunderland posing too many questions of our defence. And I think a lot of that was because we simply did not give them that many options. They did try to play out from the back, and they weren't particularly good at it. When they did try to come forward, they weren't that intense. So we were able to play through them relatively straightforward. So not too many questions were asked of our defence, unlike against Leeds and Fulham. So that was a good time had by all. And it was just it was a game that we thoroughly deserved to win. It could have well been a fair few more goals. People have remarked about Pep's comments afterwards on Cherki. I don't think there's too much to read into that. I think that he's just ensuring that Cherki's just being kept grounded, because there were a number of occasions where perhaps Cherki could have done this or that, and he opted for the more complicated thing. Like there was a moment where he just had to simply play a through ball into Marmoush. Instead, he tried to take on the man himself and then take the shot himself. So maybe that was something that Pep was alluding to. I don't think there's too much to read into that at all. Like Cherki will be absolutely fine at this club. It's really good to see the way that we've incorporated him is via the false winger side of things, with Núñez pushing up. It does just mean that we are now, if we do want to say that, like from now on, Cherki is an absolute mainstay in the side from now on to the end of time, whatever, it does become pretty, unless Cherki is able to add an off-ball midfield string to his bow, which he hasn't yet been able to do, it does mean that we become even more reliant on Núñez. So it does mean that, so it all comes down to City need to bring in another attacking right back, because the only way that Cherki works in this side right now is if the right back's able to push on and advance. If Kusanov's there, for example, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that Cherki level of performance, in my opinion, because Kusanov's not really going to offer that much as a right winger, nor should he. He's a centre back.
Yeah. Nah, I agree. I think Núñez is sort of like, I like Núñez, man. He's been playing well recently, and he's been offering us a lot. He's been quite important to the system, hasn't he? Because he needed to get down that right hand side, and it's actually pretty good because he's got a good cross on him, hasn't he, as well? So it's that is decent. Now we have been linked with that Guevara Reed. Yeah, we were linked with him.
Yes.
I don't know nothing about. Do you know anything about this guy?
He would be one of the players that I'd be interested in. He's one of those. He's in that group of fullbacks who are good enough now and could become absolutely elite. We just don't have that much of a sample size, but of what we have seen, it's very exciting. Like there's him, there's Fernandes at Porto as well. There's also Costa at Porto. There's El Hilali, I believe he's called, at Espanyol. There's Bastos at Lille. That one of these fullbacks is probably who we should be trying to go for.
Yeah, yeah. Unless we go back in for Liverpool, who knows?
That's, of course, another thing. Is just like, are Newcastle going to even entertain that? I don't know what the situation is there.
He's only got 2 years left on his contract in the summer.
Mm.
So and he's not signed a new contract yet. So, like I say, until he signs that new contract, I think it's possible, but it would be tough. And obviously, they're not going to want to sell fucking players again, are they? You know what I mean? They've just sold Isak. They want to keep players. I think he'll sign a new deal. I think
so.
they'll offer him a lot of money. I think they have to. I think at some point they have to put their foot down. Newcastle, don't think, but like, yo, we got to keep these players. So I think they'll end up, unless City do some sort of deal with Trafford. I don't. Yeah, exactly. I don't think you will, mate. I don't think you will. I think you'll give him a new contract personally, but okay, no, I'd love him at City, man. But yeah, I mean, what else? Anything else from the game? That you wanted to speak on? I think if there's anything else with the main match before we talk about some transfer stuff.
We scored a goal directly from a corner.
We did.
For the first time this season. That was nice.
Do you think Foden's crossing off corners has improved this season? I've seen someone on Twitter say they reckon it's improved, and I think they're right. I think he probably has improved his corners.
So I would say that yes, there has been a massive improvement in the set piece delivery. I would actually argue that it started last season, though. So even though basically every single one of his other abilities went down last season, the one that I felt actually improved was the set piece delivery. And he did get a couple of corner assists last season, like that winner against Wolves, and then those won the Club World Cup as well, wasn't there? There may have been another one as well. So yeah, the set piece delivery has definitely improved. This season, I think that when I was debating of whether to do like a full on analysis video of this, and I may well do, but when I was like looking at all the corners we've taken this season, I've basically reached the conclusion that the delivery is absolutely fine. It's always put into a consistently dangerous area for the most part. Obviously, like sometimes it will hit the first man, but generally speaking, it's always in a very dangerous area. The problem the conclusion that I reached rather, is that we don't have the attacking personnel to attack the corners outside of Gvardiol, who is obviously
who don't play.
Yeah,
and Stones, who don't play.
That's what I mean. Yeah, as for the starting 11, it's Gvardiol, yes, and it's also a little bit of O'Reilly because he has scored one and he's forced one. Outside of that, Diaz has never scored a goal directly from a corner.
He's only scored goals in 250 matches, which is pretty mad for a centre half. Like who when we get so many corners, isn't it?
Exactly, and none of those have been from a direct header from a corner for City.
Have they not?
No, not one. He scored a fair few for Benfica. He scored like 8 for Benfica. But he's never done one for City, which is weird. And then
I
don't know how many goals Haaland has scored for club and country. Maybe someone in the chat can let us know. But how many do you reckon of the hundreds of goals that he scored across his entire career at the top flight level for club and country? We know it's at least one because he scored one for City, didn't he, against United? How many direct goals do you think he scored from corners?
In his whole career, club and country.
Club and country.
I'm sorry. I feel like you're going to say low, so I'm going to go 10.
2.
Yeah, mad.
2. And that City one, by the way, was when Varane was off the pitch because he was dealing with an injury. So United were only down to 10 men and didn't have their main aerial threat on the pitch either. So, and then the other one was for either Dortmund or Salzburg. I can't remember. So we don't have that many aerial threats from corners. Yeah. What we saw against Sunderland was more so a setup which got the better out of Gvardiol, essentially. You had Diaz and Haaland essentially being like decoys, and that allows Gvardiol to start deep and then run, and then he can rise highest. So hopefully we'll now see us be a bit more dangerous from set pieces, because that's a couple of games in a row now. Was it the Leeds game as well, where we were dangerous from a set piece? And it eventually went in off Gvardiol from a Nico O'Reilly header. So hopefully we see a change in our set piece fortunes.
Yeah, no, because they're important, mate. I mean, you look at what Arsenal are doing with their set pieces, and I'm not suggesting that we need to be on their level. You know what I'm saying? But we have to be a threat, and corners, and not just corners, just general set pieces. Have wound me up at this club for a long time, bro. If I'm being honest with you, I think some of our set pieces are horrendous. So yeah, hopefully we're starting to change fortunes there. We start to get a little bit better from it, to be honest with you, because it's a massive, because we get so many corners and set pieces and stuff. But
Definitely.
yeah. Let's have a look at some of these comments in the chat before we sort of like move on to transfer talks. Big up to DMCO, says Haaland is good on the front post, winning headers and putting the ball second post for the assist, says DMCO. Thunder says Nico Riley's like 6'4". Teach this lad how to get goals off corners. JS says Gvardiol is great on headers. He is our Gabriel.
Yeah, he scored like 5 for City or something. It's quite a lot.
He's mega, and he's our main threat. Because I remember, when we used to have John Stones playing at the back, he was a good threat. I remember being at Feyenoord away, and he scored 2 that day off a set piece. He scored 2 in one game. And Ake was Ake's always been a threat as well. Yeah. Which is kind of mad because he's not even that tall, is he really?
Indeed, yeah.
But you hear that a lot though about these smaller players because they're smaller. They have to work harder on jumping and their aerial ability. Because if you're just like 6'5" or whatever, you probably don't even work on it that much because you just win everything easy. The ball just comes to you. So you hear that a lot. I think was it Sergio Ramos who said something the same because he's not like a massive guy, is he? I think he's like 6'1" or something. So yeah, that's how it is. Anyway, let's talk about some transfer news. Big up to Arneo, says, good day, Elbins. Watching City's performance and seeing Madrid's poor result yesterday. How confident are you about getting a result at the Bernabeu? Bro, I didn't watch the game yesterday, funny enough, but I've watched Real Madrid now, this season about 6-7 times on the second channel, and they've been crap every single game. I'm not joking. I'm not trying to do nothing. I'm just being honest. Every time I've watched them, and I've done a watch-alongs on a second channel. More will be a link in the description. They've been trash. So it probably means they batter us 4-0. We got a
hat trick.
Yeah, we need to be going there and try to win the game. Do you know what I mean? Because if we don't win the game, if we draw, it's not too bad. Because like I say, for me, Nobbins, I'm targeting 17 points. That's what I think we need to target. Because last year it was 16.
What are we on now? Sorry,
10.
Yes, so minimum a draw and 2 wins. Is that right?
Draw and 2 wins. I think that's chill. If you get a draw and 2 wins, ideally you don't really want to be drawing the game at Madrid because then you've got to sweat it out in the last 2 games. And apparently, that last game against Bodo Glimt, I don't know if this is facts. Maybe someone can fact check it, but someone said to me that game LB is going to be -5 degrees when we play him.
That's probably right, isn't it? It'll be an artificial pitch. Is that right? As well,
possibly. I mean, it's quite possibly, So you don't really. So it's an important game, isn't it? Because obviously we fucked it against Leverkusen, which is why it was such a bad result. So yeah, but I think we can beat them, man. If we turn up and Pep plays the full team, the starting 11, the proper 11, and the players are on it, I think we can beat them. Yeah, I do think we can beat them.
Yeah, of course we can.
But
they've got lots of defensive injuries as well, haven't they?
You know what, mate? I don't even know.
There's I'm pretty sure there's not going to be any Trent. There's not going to be any Carvajal. There's not going to be any Mendy. I think against Celta Vigo, Militao went off injured, so there's question marks over him. There's a fair few players that are going to be absent on Wednesday, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Militao out. Chat saying, what about Rudiger?
I think, he's just come back from injury like a couple of weeks ago. Right. I've never known how to pronounce his name, but Hausen? He's also out. So like Rudiger's, I think he got back last week.
They call him.
Pardon?
Saddam Hussein, they call him.
Wait, they're calling who? Oh, what, the
Hussein
centre back? Oh, right, okay.
I'm sorry, someone in the chat put Saddam Hussein or whatever. It's fucking
Jesus.
Fucking mad name that. I can't lie, that's crazy. But we should be beating them, man, based off of like how they've been playing. But obviously it's the Bernabeu. They're going to be up for it, aren't they? But we need to be up for it. If we get a point, it's not a terrible point. Just win your last 2 games and you qualify. And of course, you might not need 17. You might need less than that. But I just think
it would be nice.
I just think you should be targeting 17, given that it was 16 last year. You don't want to target 16 because then it might be a goal difference thing. And the last time I checked, our goal difference wasn't great. So, but it should be a good game, man. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, Pep's made it a difficult match now because of what he did against Leverkusen.
Do you think that it's just going to be the same 11 that we saw against Sunderland? That's seemingly that's been the team where we've got our best performances. Like that was the same team against Bournemouth, Liverpool. Also, what do you think? It
wouldn't surprise me if he started Savio.
Oh, do you think so?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he started Savio and dropped Cherki just for the extra sort of like, I don't know, a bit more balance, a bit more width. And it wouldn't surprise me if he started Savio. I personally wouldn't do that. Yeah, but knowing Pep, He always does something mad, innit? So, yeah, but I don't really see anything else you can change. I mean, if he changes anything at the back, maybe he might bring Huzanov in, but Huzanov's not played football properly for City for a long time, so he's not going to be fully match fit. So that's a bit dumb. So I would have liked to be able to bring Huzanov in at right back in this game, but I probably wouldn't do it because I don't think he's going to be fit enough. Coming across Vinny. Midfield picks itself, Nico G, Bernardo, Foden. Left winger, you have to go Doku. Striker, you have to go Hart. The only position is the Cherki one, and I think he might drop Cherki and go Semenyo. Wouldn't surprise me if he did that.
A bit more conservative. Yeah, that might be the sensible way to do it. I'd like to see him just stick. But at some point, you do have to accept there's got to be a degree of rotation, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think, we've got options, though. You can always bring him off the bench if you need to, Cherki. It's not the end. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I actually think Reinders could flourish in this game if he was given the opportunity. But where would you play him? You can't play him in the Bernardo Silva position because I just don't think that works. I don't think Reinders Nico G works against any competent opposition. So you'd have to play him in the 10, which means you either drop Foden or put Foden right wing.
And you can't drop Foden.
You can't drop Foden. So then it's like, well, do you play Foden right wing to compensate for Reinders? It's kind of like
you could. Yeah, I suppose
you could do it. I wouldn't hate it, but like if Reinders, you better perform then, bro, because we're sacrificing Foden in the 10 for you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You're doing a lot to accommodate him, basically. Yeah, you're
doing a lot, man. You're doing a lot. So yeah. Anyways, there we go. That's big up Arneon. I appreciate it. Let me ask you about some of this transfer talk that's coming out. Obviously, just the rumors at the moment, no official bids because the transfer window doesn't open for 3 weeks. Is it? 3 weeks and 3 days it opens. So we are getting close. And obviously, at this point, Manchester City will be speaking to players. That's if we are intent on doing some business. And we'll be speaking to clubs about fees, agent fees, all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to ask you about Semenyo, mate, because this is the one that has been. To be fair, this one is actually like we've had some decent sources on this. Semenyo. Let me just recap it for the chat if people have not seen it. So you had Craig Hope came out and said Manchester City's immediate priority is thought to be in the wide areas in January. Bournemouth's Antoine Semenyo is being considered. City are weighing up whether a powerful and more direct winger or a more skillful and intricate one is the preference. Alex Crook, Talk Sports, said Guardiola is a big admirer of Semenyo. He's said to be concerned about the lack of a goal-scoring midfielder/winger in the squad and the over-reliance on Haaland. That has sort of eased in the last couple of weeks with the goals. And then you had Paul, is it called Paul Hurst? Yeah, Paul Hurst for the Times, who I think is a pretty good source. And then you got Paul Joyce as well, who's one of the best sources for Liverpool. And obviously Liverpool will link with Semenyo. They said Man City are considering triggering Semenyo's £65 million release clause in January. He said City have not fully committed to making a move for Semenyo yet, but there is a feeling in some quarters that his arrival could give them the edge they need to reduce the gap to Arsenal in the second half of the season. And that's sort of like where I wanted to sort of start. Could Semenyo be the difference between City winning the league and not winning the league in the sense that he would just add those extra few goals? If he was to join in January, he'd probably get 6-7 Premier League goals for the rest of the season. That could be quite important. What's your thoughts on Semenyo? Do you think City should make a move on him?
So I really like Semenyo as a player. I think that he's lovely. I think that and it does fit a lot for City. So this can, get away from the idea that Nobbins has any other winger agenda, as people thought with Rodrigo. There's a reason why I didn't want Rodrigo. Semenyo is very different though, because he can play off the left, he can play off the right. He's more than happy to do that as well. By the way, that's also key. He's a more naturally wide player, so he wouldn't introduce an over-reliance on how narrow we currently are. Like he doesn't add another narrow profile therein. Is a bit of a late bloomer as well. I've seen people saying is this a bit of a flash in the pan situation for him? I think he's just like a bit of a late bloomer because I think he was playing championship football when he was 20 years old or something. So there's nothing wrong with kicking on a little bit later into your career. We've seen fantastic players do that, such as Mahrez and Marmoush, for example. Yeah. He makes a lot of sense because there's a release clause, so it's not going to be overly expensive. He makes a lot of sense because he's homegrown. So that doesn't that doesn't introduce a problem. City's non-homegrown quote, like the amount of players that we have. So he doesn't introduce a problem there. Makes a lot of sense. He can play both sides. He can be a goal threat. He can be a creator as well. I think that something that perhaps isn't really being spoken about as well, which I do think is important. I think you just alluded to it there with what type of wide player he is that he is a physical presence also. And that does matter for City out wide, because if City have to build up wide, and we've seen often we have to do that sometimes, then Doku is a fantastic outlet. And he's someone where the ball sticks to him. And if a player if like a right back comes charging into Doku, irrelevant. He's strong enough and he will hold him off. And this isn't a diss at Savio, because everyone knows that I do like him. But if the same happens to Savio, then he's getting torn apart, isn't he? Because he's not as strong as Doku is. But Semenyo is a player like that. So you could have, if you were playing Semenyo on the right, all of a sudden have two really reliable physical outlets in Doku and Semenyo. So that could also be a really key feature. It doesn't make total sense, because he's better off the left, in my opinion. And I would assume that we'd be bringing him in to play more so off the right. He can still play there, absolutely. I think he's played like maybe half of his games there this season. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but he has had a couple really good performances. I'm sure everyone remembers the first game of the season against Liverpool, against Kirkes, where he basically tore him apart down Bournemouth's right side. So he can do that, definitely. There's a lot to like about the transfer, and he would definitely improve what City currently have. I just don't know what that means for some other members of our squad, because I think I did the numbers I actually did it on the stream in addition to it being in my head. And I can only really rationalize it if two players end up leaving. I don't think it's as simple as one in, one out, based on what I would assume players would require RE starts. So it may well involve, two out of three of Marmoush, Savio, Bob leaving, for example. And I haven't really been able to rationalize that in my head yet, how it would play out. Maybe it's just as simple as one in, one out. So there's a lot of question marks. But there's also lots of nice things about the signing.
Yeah.
But I think you also said, like, is he going to be the difference maker? And I don't know if he would be the difference, because I don't think that scoring goals is going to be a problem this season. I think it's more so the defensive side of the game that's going to be the key this season. So I'm unsure whether he's going to be that important a signing.
Yeah, I think it makes sense if you think Savio and Bob are done.
Yes.
I think if you think Savio and Bob are done, I think it makes sense, because they're offering us not a lot at the moment, them two. I think that Pep's running out of patience with them both. He's given them a lot of opportunities to perform. Neither of them are really taking it. Savio's into his second season. He's got worse from his first year. And Bob is just, as much as I like Bob, he's just showing me nothing really, which is a little bit frustrating and disappointing from my point of view, because I really like him. I think City will sign him. I think City will. I think that's what City are going to do. I think City are going to sign him. I think they'll get rid of Savio or Bob, probably Bob in January, loan him out or something. And then in the summer, if Savio's not up to his game, you can then get rid of Savio, and then you can bring in maybe someone else as well. And you know what I mean? Because as you said as well, Marmoush ain't playing, mate. Marmoush ain't playing. He's not going to be happy, Marmoush, with these shit minutes that he's getting. Yeah, he's playing fucking pity minutes. So he might be off in the summer from all we know. So I just think, for me, I think if he's available for 65 million, I think you've got to get him. I think you've got to get him, because I just think he offers more than Bob and Semenyo. And I think he could be, when I say difference maker, it sounds like I'm saying like, oh, he's mint. He's like, I'm not trying to say like he's a Kevin De Bruyne, but like, let's be honest, mate. Yeah. We're in December and Savio scored how many Prem goals?
For this season, zero.
None. And Bob scored 0 Prem goals. Yeah, and I know what you're saying. Like, we got Harden scoring, Foden scoring, Cherki will get some, but like, just to have somebody on that side who can just get us a few, just to get us a few goals, I just feel like that could be That's why I'm saying it could be the difference. I'm not saying it will. I'm saying you might look back at the end of the season, and if he's won 1 or 2 games for you, that could be the difference between us winning the league and not winning the league. So I think I would. I think I would pull the trigger. And I'd probably loan out Bob in January. And then, if Savio doesn't up his game in the second half of the season, I'll probably move him on and then go and get somebody else in the summer. I just think that there's not much availability on the market at the moment for January for wingers. And I just think he's there with a release clause. It's not overly expensive. I do think it's overpriced. 65 million, but it's not massively overpriced. And you can get it done on New Year's Day. You know what I mean? You can get it done. If you're going to pay the release clause, you can literally get it done early in the transfer window. We can get him in and we can have that extra body. So, and Semenyo's not at AFCON. They didn't qualify.
Yeah, Ghana didn't qualify.
So you've not got that problem. He's not there. So he comes straight into the side. So yeah, I probably would take it, mate. I can't lie. I would. I think it's a good move. And he can play left or right. Do you know what I mean? And I know people are like, well, he's not going to play left at the moment. Yeah, but if Marmoush does end up leaving, in the summer, which at the moment is a possibility given the fact he's not playing any games, then he can become second choice left winger or just compete with Doku on the left and still be able to play off the right. And he's played down the middle for Bournemouth as well, so he gives you that option. So I just think it's a smart move. I think it's one that we have to do. I do. I don't think we should go into the second half of the season with Bob and Semenyo's like the only options off the right bar Cherki. I don't think it's.
I was going to say you have to add Cherki into that, don't you? Because that's technically where he's been playing as well. I guess if you do bring in Semenyo and you want him to play off the right, then that does also limit Cherki's minutes as well. That's another way to maybe think about it as well. I don't know where I am with it. I'm open to it. This isn't like the Rodrigo one where I'm against it for a number of reasons. This one, there are a lot of things to like. It does make a lot of sense. I'm just not desperate for it, but I wouldn't complain if he did come. I just have questions about, okay, that's fine, but where does that leave like the rest of our squads?
All right, so let me ask you a different question then. So would you pull, if you was Viana, would you pull the trigger on this deal?
Oh no, I as I say, I need to know what's going to be the knock-on effect for the rest of my squad.
Let's say Bob leaves on loan. I think that's the most natural. I don't think we're going to sell Semenyo in January. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the most likely option is that Bob probably gets loaned out in it. Yeah,
and that's this season. But again, my question is, okay, but what's Marmoush thinking next season, and what's Savio thinking next season, and where does that leave Cherki, and how are we going to integrate him? I think there are too many unknowns for me to properly answer your hypothetical.
For me, I'll answer it. Yeah, for me, I think you have to deal with that when you get to the summer. Do you know what I mean? And that's how I see it. That's why I would pull the trigger on it, and I'd loan Bob out, and then I'd address the summer situation in the summer. If Marmoush still isn't playing and he's moaning and he wants to leave, then you deal with that. If Savio's not improved, then you deal with that. I just think for me, stuff like that, I just think you cross that bridge when you get to it. But in my view, I just think this is something that we need to do. But let's have a look what the chat is saying on this one. Yeah. Let's see what you guys are saying. There's a lot of questions about midfielders. I'll ask Nobbins about that in a second. Semenyo has a better touch than Marmoush. Okay.
He does, yes. I think that's right.
Yeah. I'm trying to see what people are saying. What in the chat, what people are saying about Semenyo is another Marmoush, exactly the same profile. I don't really think he is, because he can play left, right, easy. Whereas we saw Marmoush last year get a couple of matches on the right and he really didn't work, to be honest with you.
I don't know if they're similar at all, to be honest.
No, I don't think they're similar. I don't think they're similar at all. Semenyo works hard off the ball. Yeah, the winger market is horrendous. There's literally no one good out there, which is a kind of another reason why I would just pull the trigger on it. Semenyo's homegrown. Yeah, he is. Semenyo shouldn't be a guaranteed starter anyway. Him and Cherki can fight for the right. No one should be a guaranteed starter in this team, bro. Literally no one. You're a professional football club. You should be picked based off performances, not based off of anything else. You know what I mean? Like, what is this? Is Semenyo a mentality monster? Unknown, bro. Unknown. Semenyo is comfortable wide, so no. Does it concern you that Semenyo has kind of cooled off in the last 6 games? Well, I don't know, because I've not watched him in the last 6 games, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a goal contribution since October, for example. I think that's what that's referring to.
Okay. Semenyo shouldn't be a guaranteed starter. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, all right. Well, that's an interesting one, man. Interesting one. We'll see what City do. We have been linked with him. There was some news coming out from Sky Sports yesterday. I don't know how reliable this is, but they're suggesting that Tottenham are now interested in him as well. So it sounds like there will be a bit of competition for his signature. Liverpool were linked with him as well, but Paul Joyce has sort of said that's not happening, and he's like a really good source for Liverpool. So we'll see, mate. We'll see on that one.
Did you say Arsenal are linked as well?
I didn't see Arsenal. I don't think. Did I see Arsenal?
I was just thinking that of all the big clubs, like Arsenal would probably be the best one for him as a player. If you were just thinking about what's best for him, probably Arsenal, because he's naturally just easily going to go in there and be the starting left winger, isn't he? So it would make most sense for him to go there. Of course, please don't go there, because that would make Arsenal a lot better. But just an FYI.
Yeah. Well, that's what Pep said about Semenyo back in October. So he obviously likes him. Mate. What about midfielders? Because obviously we've got this situation where Kovacic is out injured until like March or whatever, which is not good. I said at the time, I think that is a really underappreciated. I don't know if that's the thing, like serious injury. I think that's really bad. I really think having Kovacic available at this period would have been like super beneficial for us. Obviously, we don't really know what's going on with Rodri. Should City go into the transfer market? Because when you actually think about like, the current options, if we get another injury, mate, we are kind of cooked in that midfield area, bro. Like, I think that we need to consider it. I really do.
You can't, but you just can't sign someone for the sake of signing someone. It's got to be a player who you were going to sign anyway. So it's like a player you'd sign in the summer. We just fast forwarding it to January. So if City were doing that, then I don't have a problem. But it seems, I think you just like brought the name up there. It seems like we are very strongly linked with Anderson. Of course, we don't know if it's going to happen, but it seems unlikely that Forest, who were very annoying with the Gibbs White transfer in the summer to a number of clubs, are going to play ball in the January window for a reasonable price. So I would suggest that it's very unlikely City end up signing a midfielder in Jan based on the target that we want and based on how difficult we know, and they're within their right to be difficult, by the way, how difficult Forest have been and probably will be. Because where are they in the table, Forest? Where are they?
They're near the relegation zone.
That's what I mean. So if they are, they're not going to get relegated because the teams below them are far worse. But if they're even close to the relegation zone, are they going to be willing to sell
7 seats, bro?
Oh my god! Oh, even lower than I thought. Then goodness me. So are they going to sell like one of their best players, arguably their best player this season? They're almost definitely not going to do that, are they?
No, they're not
in Jan.
That's a summer transfer all day long, man.
That would be really stupid for them to do that, because that's the difference, potentially the difference between survival and relegation. And so I don't think we're getting a midfielder in Jan based on that, unless you want to sound like a short-term option, and we know that we shouldn't be doing that. So I mean, my prediction.
Did you like Anderson? I don't know. Have we ever spoke about Anderson?
I think we have briefly. We've maybe we haven't spoken about him as a name, but we've definitely spoken about the profile of what he is as a player in a more general term. So we said, what midfielder do we need? We need this, we need that, we need that. And Anderson ticks a lot of those boxes. So we've spoken about him by association, but never directly.
I think he's mint, bro. I think he's mint. I prefer him. I prefer him to Wharton so much. Yeah, I know Wharton's mad techie. Yeah, and like, I watched him yesterday. I watched Palace at Fulham yesterday, and he was good, and he's great on the ball. Don't get me wrong, but I just think for what we're looking for, Anderson just ticks all my boxes, man. He really does. I think he's fucking mint, me. I think he's absolutely mega, and I don't think people like have watched him enough to like legit understand the hype. Yeah, when you actually watch him, he's just got everything about him, man. Like everything about him. He's got the aggression. He's got the physicality. He's very technically gifted. Because the thing is, like people make him sound out like he's a scrub on the ball. Because whenever people talk about Wharton, like we'll say like he's really good on the ball, really technical. And then, but so's Wharton. So's Anderson. Anderson is very good as well. He's probably not at the level of Wharton, because Wharton is a bit of a freak, man. I can't lie, but he's very, very good. He can get up and down the pitch. Yeah. I think he's a top player, man. And When I was watching him early in the season, I was telling the chat about him. I was like, chat, I'm every time I watch him, I'm like, this guy, watching him for England, unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable for England. And I think obviously you've seen the news come through over the last couple of weeks that apparently City have moved on from Wharton and they're really looking at Elliot Anderson. I think Anderson is going to be someone that we look at. So let's see. But yeah, it's not going to happen. This is not going to happen. No way is this happening in January. I can't see that at all. No, there's not a chance. Forest are in Europe. They're in a relegation scrap. It ain't going to happen. And even if it did, it'd be such a ridiculous fee. Yeah, that City wouldn't pay it. So let's see what happens in the summer. But I think he's mint. You think he would come into this team and just fit like a glove? Because I do.
Yeah, definitely. I do actually prefer Wharton as a player, but if the question is who's better suited for City, then I do think that the answer is probably Anderson, if it's a choice between the two. I think it makes a lot of sense that we are being linked with these like three players, Gibbs White, Wharton, Anderson. We need another midfielder when Bernardo and Kova ultimately go next season. We also probably need them to be a homegrown midfielder because of the state of our squad. So it does make a lot of sense that it makes too much sense for City to not be linked with that collection of players. And then, yeah, you can have a midfield three of, let's say, Rodri, Anderson, Foden, as an example, as a midfield three.
That'd be so good, bro.
Yeah, so like Bernardo goes next season, Anderson comes in. Because you're right, like people rightly talk about Anderson's off-ball work and like what he's able to provide with the second balls and the dual winning. But he's also very comfortable in possession. He's also got a really good switch and pass on him as well. So he is underrated, I think, on the ball. And he may not be the flashiest player for some, but he probably is exactly what City need right now. That there isn't perhaps the balance in City's midfield, certainly off ball anyway, and maybe Anderson can provide that. Reinders perhaps hasn't yet been able to provide that. I'm still hopeful he will be able to do that. Obviously, if Rodri's available, then you start him. You can't not have Foden in midfield. You need him there. So to have Anderson alongside him, who's already, as you said, made it into Tuchel's England starting 11, just to put in perspective how good he's been. He's usurped everyone else around him. And he's young as well, isn't he? Is he 23, Anderson? He's quite young, I think.
Yeah. So, I think he's 23, yeah.
Yeah, so he'd be a good investment for the long term also. And again, that midfield is certainly off ball is a lot healthier. And if you want to go to it just like a midfield two, you can have Rodri and Anderson, or Nico and Anderson, with Foden playing as one of the strikers or slightly ahead, whatever you want. It just gives City a lot more options. And then hopefully Reinders can learn more so that role. If failing that, it just becomes you pick one of Foden or Reinders. So yeah, the Anderson signing just makes too much sense.
Yeah, and by the time we sign him, if we sign him in the summer, you're probably looking at 150, 160 games for club and country. So he's not even like mad inexperienced. You know what I mean? He's played a couple of Champions League matches for Newcastle, and he's got Europa League this year. He's obviously going to be playing for England. He's played for England already. He'll play for England again in March, and then he'll have the World Cup. So it's not like he's going to come in like mad inexperienced. He's going to have a World Cup under his belt, which he's probably going to start in, I think, because the way he's going. I think Tuchel really likes him. I think Tuchel sees him as like he used to play Mount. Tuchel used to play Mount a lot in that system. I think he's going to use, obviously, I think Anderson is levels above Mount, yeah. But I think he's going to use him like that. I think he's going to be a key piece of Tuchel's system. And I think the World Cup I think he's going to start games. So yeah, I really like him, man. I really like him. As Kelly says here, yeah, Reinders needs two players behind him in the midfield, then he'll cook. But the problem is that's the Foden role.
Yeah, and ideally that's not the main reason why we signed Reinders, I thought. And I think that the way Pep's used him mainly this season, we were using him to be more of a deep player at times. Like he even played him at defensive midfield in his first game. I know that was due to like injuries and whatnot, but he actually played him in defensive midfield. I'm not saying that's where he should play, but you'd like him to be doing more so what Bernardo has been doing, what Foden has been doing, what we think Anderson can do. And so far that hasn't quite yet clicked for him, which is a shame.
Yeah. But at the same time, yeah, great player to have off the bench. So
yeah, still really useful to have. I'm still a big believer in him. I think he'll come good. Yeah, not a problem for me.
Me too. Let me have a look at some of these chats, boys. Big up Blue Cactus. This about Savio. He says Pep did say Savio will get loads of minutes. He does, right? But the thing is with Pep, yeah, you kind of just have to not really listen to some of the stuff that he says because, like, bro, he's been here nearly a decade, yeah, and you can kind of, especially when you like read his comments and watch the press conferences, you kind of get like a bit of a hint about like when he's just chatting shit. And yeah, I think that I've read enough about the Savio thing from Pep that I think he's running out of time with him, man. You know what I mean? But he will get lots of minutes at the moment because we've got no other player other than Cherki. So yeah, he's going to play a lot of minutes. It depends on whether he signs Semenyo. But Pep says stuff in the press conferences, and like I say, if you watch all the press conferences or you read all the comments, you kind of get like a little bit of a okay, you know what I mean? Like he said it about Marmoush the other day. He went, he deserves much more minutes than he's currently getting. It's my fault or something like that. And I'm like, I've heard that fucking before. Yeah, Grealish. Yeah, I've heard that about Grealish. He used to say that about Grealish all the time. He deserves more minutes. It's not his fault. It's my fault. I can't get him in the team. Boom. You got Everton in the summer. So let's see what happens, man. And big up Formidable as well. Says Mark Guay Wilson for Fulham. Reminds me of KDB. Mate, Guay, I really like this Guay guy, bro. I think he's a top player. I think he's ready to take the next jump. I don't know if City are going to make a move on him, but you can get him pretty cheap if you try and get him in January. By the way, this is coming in the day that we just heard that John Stones is injured again.
Yeah.
Which is just like par for the course, really. And Harry Wilson, by the way, I think that's his name, Harry Wilson. He is mint, bro. He's a techie baller, mate. Yeah, you see that goal yesterday?
Did. Yeah, he's lovely.
Oh
He was good against us as well.
Yeah, he's class, man. And he scored the screamer against Spurs when Vicario was off his line and he just whipped it one time into the back of the net. Class. He's good, man. Mark Guay, I would consider it, man, in January if we can get him. I know like it was all meant to be going to Liverpool and that, but I think City should consider this. You know, we've had news that a couple of clubs are looking at Nathan Ake in January. Nathan Ake's already said that he's not happy with the game time. He needs to be playing because of the World Cup, which is understandable. And I'm pretty sure, I can't remember the exact figure, but when City Extra reported it from the journalist, I think they were saying City could get like 25, 30 million for him, which I think he should be able to get at least 20 million. He's only 31, I think. And he's probably, and he's fucking homegrown as well. So I think if you can sell Ake and get Mark Guay in, I'll be all over that, mate. I'll be all over that. But I don't know how highly they rate this Visa Hayes guy, because again, like going similar sort of question or similar sort of like point that you're making about the wingers. If we get Mark Guay, yeah,
Bar as well.
I don't think Bar's going to make it at City, to be honest.
Okay.
But when it comes to Huzanov and Visa Hayes, you've got too many players. You can't have Gvardiol, Diaz, Mark Guay, Huzanov, and Visa Hayes.
No. Yeah.
So you're gonna have to make
a decision.
You got to make a decision. So yeah, I don't know. Where do you see City going on with this one? Because there has been talk that Ake would like a move in January because he needs to be playing for the World Cup. That's what the manager said.
Yeah, I mean, that may not be feasible for him if Stones is out for, like, we don't know how long he's out for. It could be weeks, it could be months. And if, like, Stones is out until, like, confirmed February, let's say, and we know that even if he comes back, he's not, there's no...
Have they said what the injury is, bro?
I think all I've seen is Pep say that Stones is out, and I don't know how long. I don't know if we've had anything else other than that. Yeah, there you go. He doesn't actually know.
I don't know, yeah, because obviously, like I always say, when it's just words on a screen, you can't really tell what sort of like how he said it. But when I read that, it kind of just feels like I don't fucking know, mate. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. You know, when someone, it sounds like he's had enough, to be honest with you. And obviously, he's out of contract in the summer anyway. And again, it's words on the screen. I don't know how he said it or whatever, but that's how it comes across when you read it.
Yeah, no, he's definitely gone in the summer, which is sad, obviously, because he's been a massive player for this club. But he's on a lot of money. You can't extend him, given his injury record. And if he is out, then we can't let Ake go in Jan, because otherwise we're left with Kusanov, Gvardiol, or Diaz, aren't we? Like, we'd have to recall someone else, or as you say, sign another player. So we probably just need to keep Ake ransom to a degree and just go, mate, you're playing more minutes now. Stones is out for a second. Maybe that's how you can facilitate him there. And then, yeah, you need to ask a massive question in the summer, because if Ake is moving on, then of course, I mean, we'll probably have to bring someone in anyway. From what I've seen, and it is very little of Hayes, people have been saying that he could probably do with another year on loan. Maybe in a different environment, maybe to a side in the Premier League where he's able to experience the physicality of the league and get up to it. Perhaps he could be our Saliba to a degree, going on loan for 2 years and then come back and be better off for it. Yeah, so it does depend on how we view Hayes. It depends on how we view Bar. If we think that they do have a long-term future, even if it's just one of them, then signing Gahey basically condemns that player to never play for City. Because as you say, then you've got Diaz, who isn't old. He's going to be 29 this year. That's not old for a centre-back. You've got Gvardiol, who's in his mid-20s. Kusanov's in his early 20s. Gahey's only 25. So it's not like you're dealing with an old, aging core who need to be replaced soon. The likes of Hayes and Bar are going to need some game time at some point. There's a lot up in the air, I think.
It's a difficult one because that Mark Guehi sign is so tempting because it's not going to be that expensive. He's out of contract in the summer. So if you go to Crystal Palace in January and say, here's 30 million, yeah, or we'll come and get him on a free. I mean, we paid 16, I think, for Nigel de Jong, and that was like about 14 years ago. And he had 6 months left on his contract when we signed him, and that was 14 years ago. So you consider inflation and that, and then obviously homegrown. And the fact that, I think he's a top centre half. I think you wouldn't have put 30 mil on the table for Mark Guehi. I think they accept that, yeah.
What does he want, do we think?
Mark Guehi?
Does he want to start, or is he happy being... Because he's not going to be a starter here. He's going to be a squad player.
That's the thing. Well, I've spoke about Mark Guehi a lot, right? Because I thought we should have signed him last January, when we was in the market for a centre half. Because the problem that you've got is, if Liverpool... listen, if he goes to Liverpool, he'll start.
Yes, that's what I mean. So it depends what he wants, doesn't it?
That's the problem, yeah, because obviously Kanate is just shit and he's out of contract. So if he goes to Liverpool, he'll start week in, week out for Liverpool. But there's so much uncertainty about Liverpool at the moment, and even though they spent all this money, no one really knows where they're going. The direction's a little bit kind of up in the air. Who's the manager? You've got this turmoil going on in the club with the player and the managers. And when Van Dijk and Salah leave, I think you look at that team, and I still think it needs a lot of work, to be honest with you. So, does he want to go there and play week in, week out? You'll play Champions League football. Still think Liverpool qualify for Champions League this year. Or do you go to City and fight for a position, but you might not play, and you're probably not going to start? I mean, he's a good player, and he could fight his way into the team and maybe take Diaz's spot, because I know that's another benefit. He can play left-sided centre-back or right-sided centre-back.
Yeah.
So he could, it's not out of the realms of possibility that he could take Diaz's position. He's not going to take Gvardiol's position, no way. But the starting point is you're going to be a bench player. You're going to be rotated. So that's a hard sell, I think. It's a hard sell when he's probably going to have Chelsea. Chelsea will be interested in him. Yeah. Liverpool will probably be interested in him. Yeah. Newcastle, a big club. They'll probably be this is the thing. He can basically pick his club. Yeah. Especially if he waits until the summer on a free transfer, he can just go where he could go Bayern Munich. He could walk by if you fancy going Germany with Harry Kane. He could go there. He'd walk in that team with Upamecano and Tar. So it's going to be a hard sell. It's going to be a hard sell for City.
Yeah. It's also, I know that you're a big fan of Kusanov, as am I. It probably bumps down Kusanov down the pecking order as well. He goes from probably the third choice to fourth all of a sudden.
Yeah, he's toast.
Do you think it's I just done?
I just you got Diaz in front of you, you got Guehi in front of you, and there doesn't seem to be that much desire from Pep to play him right back. So I don't see where he would get his minutes. I think
I'd rather back Kusanov personally.
I probably would as well, to be honest with you. But it's I think we need. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one, and this is hard when you're building a squad, innit? You know what I mean? You've got to keep the harmony of the squad as well. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But
tricky.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't think we've been linked with anyone. I think it's just been Semenyo, a little bit of Mark Guehi, but there's not been too much. And Anderson, I think will happen. Oh, but it won't be January. No way.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah.
The summer when Bernardo's contract expires and when we inevitably move on Kovacic for basically a free because he's he's had this horrible injury and he'll only have 1 year left on the contract come summer of 2026. So that would make sense. Two players out. You only need one midfielder in for those two players, probably, in addition to the players we already have in the squad.
Yeah. Sweet. All right, man. We'll leave it there. Big up to everyone for tuning in. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you smash a like on the stream if you've not done so already, man. Massively help support the channel. Subscribe to this one. Subscribe to Nobbins as well. And yeah, I'll message Hugh in a bit. I'll message him and see if he's about tonight. See if he can do a stream tonight. And then obviously we've got the games tomorrow are a bit dead, lads. I can't lie. I don't know, man. They're a bit washed.
Yeah, they're stinky. I'm streaming Football Manager instead. Stuff that.
Yeah, there's not going on. But yeah, Wednesday I'll be back, Real Madrid, and then obviously the weekend as well. We've got the weekend. Palace away, man. I keep forgetting about
hard game.
Oh, fucking hell, man. And they got Wolves as well, man. Fucking kidding me. How they got Wolves, man? We got Palace away. That is disgusting. And they play Wolves on a Saturday night. So we play on a Sunday, so we're gonna know our fate going into the game. So yeah, there we go.
Big win if we can do it though. Way up against Palace.
If we can do it, man. If we can do it, I think if you do it, yeah, I think City could hit a bit of a run because if you look at our fixtures in the league, you got Palace away and you got West Ham at home, Forest away, which is tough, but they're not amazing right now. Sunderland away, but they've got 7 players at AFCON, yeah, 4 of which play 50% of games or more.
Good point. Yes.
And then you got Chelsea at home, Brighton at home, and Man United away. I think they're all winnable games. So I actually think this is probably our hardest match. Out of all those games I've mentioned, I legit think Palace away is harder than all those games.
It's going to be tricky. Definitely.
So let's see what happens anyway. Big up, man. Make sure you guys smash the likes up. Make sure you guys subscribe. And I'll see you on Midday Live if you're coming over. Peace out.